I think that for £30,000 there are a bunch of amazing sports cars that you can buy that offer really great value for money. How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. This is literally my price range of cars right now, at least the cars that I'm kind of looking at getting into. So all 5 of these cars I've researched pretty thoroughly, and hopefully I can impart some kind of idea about them to you guys. Don't forget, in the UK, so prices in other countries might be different, and whenever you buy any second-hand car, maintenance, repairs, insurance, road tests, all that good stuff is important to remember. If you want to see this video again at under £20,000 instead, hit the like button. If the video gets 1,000 likes, I'll make that video. Subscribe as well if you're new here, and let me know in the comments down below what is the best car you could buy for under £30,000. I actually don't know. Let me know. Without further ado, let's get into the video. In 2012 at the Paris Motor Show, Jaguar displayed for the first time in 50 years a 2-seater sports car, a car that would finally be the true successor to the beloved E-Type that remains one of the most iconic Jags ever made. The E-Type shoes are big ones to fill though, so the new F-Type needed to have its own allure that didn't just rely on what the E-Type was. On release, it came exclusively in convertible spec, with the coupe coming a year later, which was actually a highly successful way of doing it, as 75% of convertible customers were new to the Jag brand, meaning they had hit the right note in the market to get people excited and interested in a Jag sports car rather than the usual offerings. It came with a range of engines, but for less than 30k today you'll get the 3-litre supercharged V6 engine that makes 374 brake horsepower, taking it from 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. The car did really well very quickly, becoming the best-selling sports car in its segment in the UK, outselling the Boxster and Cayman in the US, and seeing similar success in other places around the world. I think what helped is just how pretty it is. I can't personally work out whether I prefer the coupe or convertible, as something about the convertible's body hits just right, even if the coupe is often the preference here in the UK. Another standout feature of the car is its sound, as Jaguar puts a ton of research and development into getting them to sound good, and the V6 in particular is one of the best sounding on the market in my opinion. Add on the nice, clean but typically Jaguar interior and you've got an amazing exotic Grand Tourer, and as I mentioned, though a lot of people go for coupes, don't sleep on the convertible because it's generally cheaper and in my opinion looks just as good. These start at around 20 grand for high mileage convertible examples, and for 30k you'll get a 2014 coupe with 30,000 miles on it. The main problems to be aware of on these are minor electrical ones, or some owners have noticed squeaks and rattles on the interior which are often hard to diagnose and highly annoying. The key one is a leaking rear diff as a result of over tightening, so do watch out for that. In my most recent video I had the opportunity to review the 981 Porsche Cayman S, and I was incredibly impressed with it, not just because it's a pretty car that goes fast, but because it's actually a good all-rounder. Though it's the 2nd generation Cayman, it's kind of the 3rd gen of this line of cars, considering it is the hardtop version of the Boxster, which started a gen before the Cayman arrived. It has a 3.4 litre flat 6 engine that produces 310 brake horsepower, taking it from 0 to 60 in 4.7 seconds, and as mentioned, it really does pull along. Not in a way that makes you feel in any way frightened of the pace though, as it seems to hit quite nicely. I won't spend any longer talking about how it handles though. If you want to see my opinions of it, go check out the video that I did earlier this week, link in the description and pinned comment down below. But going back to the car itself, the S gets that bigger 3.4 litre engine over the 2.7 in the non-S, plus a few extra aesthetic options on the original spec. Though it is theoretically possible to have spec'd a non-S to beyond an S minus the engine. The interiors are lovely on these, simple but nice places to be, and as always with Porsche there are some super cool spec options. I personally like the chocolate interior, but there are some other choices like blue that are pretty sick. The exterior as well is properly good looking, in part because it's just bigger in all aspects than the 987, it's longer and wider, leading to way more road presence, and that's coming from someone who loves a 987. They start at around the £25,000 mark for very high mileage examples, and you'll still be looking at high mileage for 30k, but the main thing to look for on these is service history, as there isn't a disastrous IMS bearing issue with these like there has been with previous generations. With that in mind, there are some known build quality problems with sagging headliners, warping and delaminating door panels, and headlight lens degradation. As I said though, if you want to see and hear more about this amazing car, check out my most recent video. I've always been a fan of convertibles, but particularly ones with hardtop roofs, as they give you the best of both worlds, particularly here in the UK where you never can quite predict how the weather will treat you. The SL63 AMG is blessed with that hardtop convertible roof, as well as a 6.2 litre V8 engine that produces 517 brake horsepower, the most of any car on this list, which takes to 60 in 4.5 seconds. And having driven one a long time ago, I can confirm that this thing absolutely pulls well beyond that mark. The only thing I'd say as a potential downside of that hardtop roof is the weight, as the dry weight of this is almost 1,900 kilograms, and when I drove one you definitely felt that. Don't get me wrong, it does handle well as I drove it on track and it was fast, but you definitely can tell it's a weighty car rather than being something lightweight and nimble, and I would say it really shines as a cruiser or on high speed runs on German autobahns. On release in 2008 it was £100,000, which in today's money is more than 130 grand thanks to inflation, which means you're benefiting from a car that sits right at the top end of its class in terms of price. Whether that's a good thing or bad thing you can tell me, but at the time it was sort of in its own class, as it was slightly more expensive than the Porsche 911 and it didn't have other cars on the market like the Audi R8 or Aston Martin DB9 to compete with, and it's nowhere near as focused as any GT products from Porsche, so it wasn't aiming at that space either. It is literally just a very fast Grand Tourer for people who want something luxurious that also goes and sounds like an absolute monster. These start at around the £24,000 mark, and for 30k you'll get into a 2010 model with around 50,000 miles on the clock. There are known common problems related to the convertible top mechanism, ABC suspension, and the earlier SL63s had head bolts that are prone to failure and should be replaced if you get into one. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I wanted to remind you to do 4 things. Thing 1, hit the like button. 1,000 likes will make this video again at under £20,000. Thing 2, go follow me on Instagram at carswithjb. Thing 3, subscribe if you haven't already. And thing 4, go check out the Discord server as well. Loads of people over there having great conversations about cars and loads of like-minded people. So if you want to get involved, Discord server in the link down below. When BMW moved the coupe and convertible models out of the 1 Series badge and placed a 2 Series 1 on it instead, they opened up the opportunity to create an M2, as they seemingly didn't and still don't want to besmirch the classic BMW M1's name. The M2 though has become a highly sought after little sports car for many people, particularly younger car folk who want something fast, fun and a little more exotic than your average BMW. And it did absolute bits in its first year, selling almost 13,000 models and being the main growth driver for BMW's M Mark. That's in part thanks to that 3-litre turbocharged inline-6 that makes 364 brake horsepower, taking the car to 60 in just 4.2 seconds, not bad at all. If you got yourself a Comp or CS model, you'd be getting a twin-turbo inline-6, but let's walk before we can run here, as Comps and CSs are a tad more expensive. Despite its success, the car has actually had some pretty mixed reviews. There is general agreement that it is a great BMW M car, but some owners and reviewers have complained about it being overly stiff and aggressive, which can make it a bit of a hassle on our often poorly kept roads here in the UK. Ignoring that though, I really like the look and feel of this car. The exterior is very nice, with the wide wheel arches covering those large M Sport alloys, which gives the car a hint of a 1980s BMW in my eyes, and the interior on these is actually really nice, functional, good quality materials, and generally a clean design that I think will age well. You'll often see these at track days, and I think that's kind of the perfect purpose for this car, one that you could drive as a daily but also take to the track and rinse around for fun given how capable it is, and the fact that it comes with either the DCT Auto, which does feel amazing, or the manual, depending on what you prefer. They start at around the £26,000 mark, and for 30 grand you'll be getting an early model from 2016 with around 40,000 miles on it. Reliability has generally been okay on these for most owners, though some have suffered from leaking valve gaskets, coil packs failing, and failed water pumps, though these aren't hugely common problems. The DCT Auto needs to be looked after well too in order to prevent expensive things happening later down the line. The cheapest car on this list is also the quickest from 0 to 60, hence it takes the top spot, the Audi TTRS Plus, based on the 2nd generation Audi TT platform. Audi's RS brand is pretty good at making very fast all-wheel drive cars, but in general we find them shaped like coupes or hot hatches or the likes. When the TTRS came out, it built on the success of the R8 being a more affordable but still ridiculously capable sports car. It has a 2.5-litre turbocharged inline-5 engine which makes 354 brake horsepower in plus spec, taking it to 60 in just 4 seconds, which is properly quick for a car of its age and class. The TTRS debuted in 2009, and on release it was the first RS model car to be built outside the German factory that the RS2 was built in, as it was instead put together in Audi's Hungarian factory where the standard TT was also developed. It has a close ratio 6-speed manual gearbox if you want it, and of course the all-wheel drive is controlled by Haldex to ensure power is constantly being put down to the roads efficiently, pushing you forwards. The exterior is wider and more aggressive than the standard TT, with the larger air intake tailgate and grills, wider wheel arches, and of course the staple rear wing, which you could actually option off, and I recently saw one with it optioned off. Honestly, I don't know why you do it, as the car was the cheapest TTRS on the market in the UK, I reckon in part due to that option choice. An option that I would personally go for though is the RS bucket seats, which look unreal and remind you that you're in a proper little beast, though you could go for the Alcantara standard sports seats, which are pretty nice on their own. You'll find Plus examples starting around £15,000, and for 30 grand you'd be getting a pretty pristine example with very low mileage considering the age. Some common problems include failing window regulators, knocking steering racks, bonnet opening lever snaps, and poor connections to rear lights. Plus there are many places that water can get in and collect, leading to further electrical issues, so that's worth a note. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I definitely did, because these are the kinds of cars that I could be looking at in the not too distant future, as my beloved 4C keeps going up and up in price, seemingly with no end in sight. Why? But again, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, I'd really appreciate it. Subscribe as well if you're new here. Let me know what you think the best car is that you could buy for under £30,000. Mass thanks to the patrons, always fair support, and to you guys as well for watching. I'll see you in the next one.